Hey there, STEM enthusiasts! Welcome back to Kameron's Lab, Dive In, the go-to podcast for STEM students, crafted with passion by one of your own. I'm Kameron, your enthusiastic and ever-curious host. Buckle up for today's insightful episode. Ready to dive in? Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. So today I'm here with Balvinder. She's one of my course mates here at Queen Mary. She's currently studying biomedical engineering with me, and she will be telling a little bit more about herself and where she wants to go. But just so you know, she's originally from Malaysia, and now she's here studying at Queen Mary with plans to go far. So let's see how this goes. Hi Val, how are you?
Hi Kameron. Well, it's very nice. Thank you for having me on your amazing podcast.
I know, I'm so excited. So I guess just to get started, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself. So how did you get started in biomed? Was it originally your first choice? Was there something else? And yeah, let's go from there.
Right. Well, that's actually a pretty long story. So at first, I originally thought I wanted to do medicine, but I was more in love with the science part of medicine rather than the more people part. Not that I hate people, I love people. It's just I like science more. And there were certain instances in my high school life, in my college life, where I would participate in engineering competitions, but that never really rang any bells for anyone that I was destined for engineering. Up until after finishing off my A-levels during the 3 months while waiting for my results, I watched a video of someone doing a tracheotomy. I think that's what it's called. And I realized that I can't do that. I can't cut someone open. And then that's when I decided that medicine is not for me. And at the time, thankfully, I had also kind of discovered a little bit more of my passion with electrical engineering and had applied for some courses for electrical engineering with biomedical sciences. Fortunately, I rejected those and decided to come to Queen Mary instead and do like a combination course, which is my course now, biomedical engineering.
Yay, we're so glad you came. Okay, so can you tell us a little bit more about, I guess, those extracurriculars? Like, was there a reason that you, I guess, fell in love more with the engineering and science side of it rather than the medicine? I know you did just explain a little bit more, but if you could say like what really, I guess, drew you to engineering? Was there something specific?
I love making stuff. That's it. That's the foundational basis of all of this. I love getting my hands dirty and making things. For the extracurriculars that I had joined back in high school, those were like solar cooking competitions where I would need to make a solar cooker from scratch and use very simple like heat physics to understand how to conserve heat within the solar cooker to boil water. And another one, which is quite my favorite actually, is building a biomass battery.
Wow.
Yeah. So that involved quite a bit of chemistry. And at the time, I had gone for extra classes for chemistry because I did not like my chemistry teacher in school, so I did not pay attention at all. So during those extra classes, I would stay back and I would ask my teacher more questions about chemistry and how I could make a biomass battery. And I was really proud because our battery reached the highest voltage amongst everyone. We reached 7.2 volts. It happened like a good 5 years ago and I still remember the voltage I reached. Yeah, that was one of my favorite things as well. And there was another one about airflow physics and how we could reduce the temperature of our canteen. And we managed to like get third place nationally for that. Yeah, so I think the fact that I really like doing things, I really like understanding conceptual physics and implementing them and also being good at it. Really, it was just a really good combination and it really gave me more passion for engineering.
I love that. I think that whenever you're doing something, you have a passion for it, but you're also good at it. That's definitely a really good catalyst for you to keep going with it.
Yeah.
That's lovely. Okay, so for those who don't know, I first heard about Val when I met her with Hyperlink. So I just heard that there was this amazing person in our year group who started the society for Hyperlink, and I just was like, whoa, that's amazing. So if you could tell us a little bit about your journey to start Hyperlink. Was it you originally that started it, or was it something that you found beforehand and wanted to bring it to Queen Mary? So if you could tell us a bit about that and also explain what Hyperlink is.
Yeah. So, well, actually, I did not start Hyperlink. The person who started Hyperlink is Martin. And I mean, he's graduated now. I initially found out about Hyperlink through a WhatsApp message in a group chat. And they had kind of advertised that there was an available spot in their biomedical research team. Okay. And at the time, I knew I wanted to go into engineering research. So I thought this was a really good opportunity for me. And I remember messaging their secretary and asked if, since I was just a first year, I didn't have the like accurate skills to be a researcher, but she was like, go for it. And so I did. And then the rest was history. From being a biomedical research team member, I became head of biomedical research, and now I lead the team to 3 international competitions. Just for context, since no one knows what it is, but Hyperlink is basically London's first engineering team building a Hyperloop pod, an operational Hyperloop pod. So what the Hyperloop is that it's considered like an upgrade of the maglev trains in Japan. It's considered to be the 5th mode of transportation. Wow. So it goes about, if I'm not mistaken, 1,016 miles per hour. So it goes really fast.
That's very fast.
It is very fast. And with that speed, it is very dangerous for people inside the pod. So we are actually one of the only teams that look into the biomedical effects of the 5th mode of this new mode of transportation.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Especially the biomed park. I feel like very much all the time when you have such amazing technology, you're thinking, how can I make it better? How can I make it stronger, faster? Yeah. But not, oh, there's people in there. It's not take care of them as well. So I love that you guys are doing that as well. If we could talk a little bit about the different competitions and things that Hyperlink has gone to. So how did you go from, I guess, being a Queen Mary Society to then going into competitions? How did you scale up to that level?
Well, it involved a lot of looking at other teams. So I spent a good portion of my time looking at other teams and what they have done and where they're going, or what sort of partners that they have, how they run their team. I'm always looking for new ways to optimize my team and try to, I see potential in my team and I really want to milk that. So I spend a lot of my time just trying to make it better. So initially we had already competed in the European Hyperloop Week. So that is one of the biggest competition for Hyperloop in the world right now. And then we found out about the Canadian Hyperloop Conference, which is a much more smaller scale competition. And they had reached out to us and they're like, hey, we really want you guys to be here. And if I'm not mistaken, 2 years ago, we were the first European team to be there, the first and only European team to be there, and we had won quite a few awards for our systems. And recently, because of the connections I had made at AHW and the Canadian one, we are being invited to another Hyperloop competition in Chennai.
Woo! Exciting! Congratulations! I like that you mentioned your own personal connections as well were really helpful for Hyperlink. Could you talk a little bit about how you, advice for networking for students that maybe aren't too sure about it or get a little bit nervous? Do you ever feel nervous when you're networking? How do you get past that?
Quite frank, I do get nervous. I get very nervous, especially when I'm speaking to people in power or people who have done so much more than me in life. One way I get past that is with the thought that they were in the same situation as me before. They have been in my position, and I think I would like to believe that they would be more empathetic. And I feel like when someone sees another person who is as passionate, as motivated to kind of upskill themselves or upskill anything really, then they are more inclined to help you.
Very exciting. Really good advice. I like this idea of when you're doing such amazing things, you want to be able to give back to the people that maybe are where you were before. It's like the younger version of yourself, I guess you can really say.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you've been doing now that I guess you could say that you're working to upskill yourself? So are you involved in anything else? I have heard about the ARQ, so if you wouldn't mind trying to segue into that, if you could talk about that a little bit as well.
Yep, so as a workaholic, I am also a research assistant for this PhD student, Sarah, in the Advanced Robotics Centre in Queen Mary. So what I'm working on is this gesture project where as of now, what I'm doing is that I'm creating a machine learning network that helps classify different sort of hand gestures. So there's a grip, there's a wave, all sorts of that, which will then be translated to a bionic hand. I also do a lot of literature reviews, so my head is filled with all these machine learning algorithms. Yeah. And aside from that, I'm also working on a personal project, which is building an ECG sensor to kind of check if someone's going to get a heart attack or not. And funnily enough, my sample size or my testing people are my parents. So when I go back home to Malaysia next year, whatever I build, I'm going to test it out on them and see if it works.
I mean, family are the best test subjects. Sorry, Mom. She knows already.
Yeah.
I love that. Could you talk a little bit about, I guess, when you get started with all of this research? Because I feel like when you first come to university, you think to yourself, oh, I have to wait till I get to third year and second year when I actually have the skills. But you mentioned that you already started with Hyperlink back in year one, despite having those feelings of maybe I shouldn't because I don't have the skills. Like, how would you, I guess, give advice to get past that feeling of, I guess, imposter syndrome? Just like, I feel like I don't have the skills, I shouldn't even try. Like, how do you get past that?
See, that imposter syndrome has been something I actually have been struggling with for the past 2 years. I only overcame it this year. And honestly, it's not that big of a deal. We tend to make things so much more bigger in our heads. True. And at the end of the day, my advice is to not be afraid. Take that leap of faith and just do it. Even if you fail, it's fine. Failure is a learning opportunity. You'll learn something if you don't get into a specific society or if you don't get into the job that you want. You will learn something from it and you'll do better next time. There are so many tries that you can make, and at one point you will actually succeed. And that's just something that just resided in my head. And once you get to that point of success, you know you deserve it. That's true. And that's when your imposter syndrome kind of fades away.
I love that. It's really great advice. I'm going to quote that later. It's going to be really good.
Yeah, just do it.
Just
Sponsored by Nike.
One day. What else was I going to ask you today? I wanted to talk a little bit more, I guess, about kind of a get to know you. So where do you see yourself going from here? Because you're, president of Hyperlink, research assistant, biomedical engineer to be. Where else do you see yourself going from here?
So where do I see myself after this? But I love research, always have, or always will, especially within the field of bioelectronics and biosensors. So I will hopefully be pursuing a PhD after this. Where I'll be pursuing it, that I don't know, but I'm sure at whichever institute I pursue it, I will be happy.
Yay. It's great. Just to kind of finish out, if you wouldn't mind, I guess, giving advice to your younger self. So if like little Balvinder was thinking, how would I go from, this love of medicine, whatever A-levels and things you might be taking, how do I get to where Balvinder is now? So how do I get there? So I guess, if you could write that path for your younger self, what would you say?
Don't be afraid, because at a lot of times I have been told that my dreams are a bit too big and they're going to fail. Just because other people have failed doesn't mean you're going to fail. That's such a facade. That's the one advice I'd give myself. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared of people. Reach out to people who are in power because they're very inclined to help you, and just do it. Just make that leap of faith. Go, aim for the stars. Even if you don't reach them, you'll land on the moon or the meteorite or some space chunk, you'll be fine. As long as you're ambitious and you're aspirational and you're motivated, you will be fine.
Love that. It's really good. I think this is a really good spot to end it here, because that was just perfect. It's a really good advice. So I'll end it here, but thank you so much for your time. And everyone else, I hope that you really enjoyed listening to Balvinder as much as I have. And of course, I guess if you have any questions for her, do let me know and I'll try to pass them along. She's a very busy person, so we'll have to try to get in her schedule as we can. But thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Kameron.
Yay. Hi again, awesome listener. That wraps up another deep dive of Kameron's Lab Dive In. Before you dive back into your day, see what I did there? Take a second to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Want a behind-the-scenes look? Bonus content? Or just some good old STEM fun? Follow me on my socials, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Kameron's Lab. And remember, every episode is a new adventure, and we've got some thrilling dives lined up for you. Don't miss out! Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.